Journalism, when practiced by figures like Alison, Pearson, or Camilla Tomini, thrives on provocation, on scrutiny, often polarizing commentary. The role of a journalist and the role of an opinion writer extends beyond merely recounting events. It involves interrogating power structures, challenging the norms that we have accepted, and delivering a sharper critique, even criticisms that are uncomfortable or perceived as unkind. Pearson's provocative takes, such as her harsh criticism of the NHS or controversial social media posts, illustrate the dual-edged sword of interesting journalism. I remember all the way back to Bernard Levin being fascinated by his opinions and Pearson's sharp criticisms of, for example, the NHS. I was reading one of her pieces a few minutes ago, and it is deeply provocative, but there's a lot there I understand. There's a lot there I sympathise with. The NHS is historically revered institution. She highlights systemic failures that resonate with personal experiences. Even if she polarises the audience, her commentary reflects a broader journalistic responsibility to question institutions while risking public and social backlash. Why not? If you don't raise the questions, you can't have the debate. And we need that debate if life is going to improve. Tomini's similarly scathing critiques, like her focus also on the NHS inefficiencies and political hypocrisy, show how journalists navigate this tightrope between public interest and rhetoric that is frankly incendiary. It's these figures posture on their platforms to provoke debate, using visceral language and controversial positions to ensure attention, even if they invite criticism or legal scrutiny. So the recent harassment of Pearson by the Essex police over a retweet, even if it's not an attractive retweet, she may not have even read it. This is the point. You get so used to just retweeting things, I believe. I don't tweet a lot, really. I don't do much of that because I don't really understand it. And because I'm exhausted, frankly. I teach, I do YouTube, I animate. I'm trying to develop an animated opera. I have many things that I'm doing. I do a lot of writing. I'm trying to write, I think, 2 books at the moment. And theoretically, I'm supposed to be doing some serious academic work. And there just isn't enough time in the day to mess around with Instagram or Twitter. If I can find those extra minutes, I will. But I can't at the moment. I'm even trying to set up another YouTube channel, but I just don't have the energy or the time. And I think part of the problem is being knocked back with whether it was flu or COVID, I don't know, but it's still lingering, and I'm still tired, and having slipped on leaves because of the absurdity and the uselessness of the local rugby council. I was going to say Russian council. Again, I'm in pain, and there's nothing here. I'm sympathetic to Alison Pearson's criticism of the NHS because it is unbelievably useless in certain parts of the country. When you get into it and it works, it's great. But getting into it in rugby, I can't get into it. It's impossible. There's backwater of inefficiency, and you see a problem in one part of society, and then it emerges all over the place, and these things seem particularly targeted. So rugby seems very much in a downward spiral. The NHS here doesn't work. The cinemas don't work, and so on. You keep going round, and it's this buttressing of knee-jerk authority with inefficiency. These two things go together, and it leads to incompetence, chaos, and a complete shutdown of service. And I'm sure rugby isn't the only place where this is occurring, where the council isn't functioning properly. There's a few people wringing their hands, but for the most part, we just watch the shops closing. We watch the leaves collecting. We watch the dangers massing. And I'm not sympathetic to Alison Pearson as a person, but I am sympathetic to her job, and I am sympathetic to the problems she's been facing. Her experience being confronted over this tweet alleging racial hatred raises vital questions about press freedom, public accountability, the balance between investigative journalism and perceived defamation. Again, among other things, one reason why people involved in journalism would retweet things would be to see what the response is. And that response is worthy of journalistic investigation. Journalists like Pearson and Tomini embody a profession that must provoke, must prod, even offend, to illuminate truth, to find out what is actually going on and what people really think, albeit at the risk of public ire or police intervention. And that police intervention shouldn't be happening. Their work underscores the necessity of robust, independent journalism, and it highlights the contentious interplay between media, public opinion, and state oversight. And, what's happened to Alison Pearson here in the UK, it would be worse in other countries, believe me. But we have to judge ourselves by the standards that we set up for Britain. We set up this concept of an independent, free state. And increasingly our independence, our freedoms, the assumption that we are mature enough to know what we're doing are being eroded by an over-concerned authority. And I have lived in countries which, frankly, have gone through repressive periods, and the last of which was Russia. And I felt it. I felt it in Moscow. And I feel it here, by the way. That's why I'm on YouTube. Because I think by opening things up, by challenging things, by questioning things, by trying to move away from this tribal nonsense where you're on one side or on the other and looking at the issues and the people and the humanity, maybe we can avoid a collapse into oppression.